What's up guys, Idetics here. Have you ever wondered what's the rarest country to get in GeoGuessr? After some research from 7 community-made world maps which use only official Google coverage, there's over 762,000 locations. And these are the 10 rarest countries to show up in GeoGuessr. And I'm pretty sure that you haven't gotten all of them in a round before. Let's check it out. So for number 10. Monaco. Monaco only showed up 1 in 9,400 locations. So about a 0.01% chance to get this country. It's its own country, but it's only one city, located on the French coast, close to Italy. It has some Gen 2, but usually Gen 4 coverage, and it's very rich and densely populated. You can also find some Gen 3 boat coverage at the coast, which will feature the city skyline. So being surrounded by France, it will look like southern France in a lot of ways. But Monaco has their own license plates, which do not have the blue EU strip on it. And it's also smaller than the normal European license plates. Be careful though, because you can see a lot of French license plates in Monaco as well. So when you zoom in a bit on the European map, you can see Monaco here. So when we zoom in, you can see the border here. This is the whole country. But as you can see, there is a lot of coverage from the Google car. You can see here the kind of buildings you see in Monaco and the general vibe. It will look a lot like France, but you can see there's a lot of hilly parts outside the city. So for country number 9, Liechtenstein. How often do you get Liechtenstein in GeoGuessr? Well, from these 7 maps that I talked about, it only showed up one time every 10,500 locations. Liechtenstein only has a population of 40,000. It's not a big country. It's kind of squeezed between Switzerland and Austria, and they speak German there. Liechtenstein can be hard to distinguish, but it looks a lot like Switzerland. So of course, if you guessed Switzerland, you're pretty close anyway. They have a low cam with a wide blur, just as Switzerland, but the best tip might be the license plates. They are black with white text, and they have a yellow and red emblem at the left side. And they are not a part of the EU, so they don't have the blue strip on the left side as well. Be sure to look out for the license plate. So to find Liechtenstein, it's this small country right in between Austria and Switzerland. Just zoom in here, you can see the border. And if we switch on the Google Street View coverage, you can see there is a lot of coverage down here. This is mostly the flat part, so it's like down in a valley. And around you can see a lot of mountains. So yeah, as you can see here, it's flat where you have coverage, but there's mountains all around you. And there is a low camera, Swiss looking signs. So yeah, this is the general vibe you'll get here. It's a very beautiful country. So for country number 8. It's the Coco or Keeling Islands. Have you heard about it before? I didn't before I looked this up, but it only showed up 1 in every 12,000 locations in these maps. It's getting pretty rare. The Coco Islands only have 600 inhabitants, about 600, and it's an external territory of Australia, so it's not a totally independent country. But for country streak purposes in GeoGuessr, it will count as Australia, thankfully. So it only has Gen 3 coverage. It has bright white sand, many palms, and it's usually pretty flat. It is not very forested though. And the Google car is pretty distinct, so you can learn this. To find it, you have to zoom in right about here, and you will see it pop up. Coco or Keeling Islands. It has 2 different names, apparently. So if you zoom in, you can see these are the islands. If you turn on the Google Street View, you can see that there's not much at all. You have some boat coverage here as well. But yeah, if you see, there's bright white sand, generation 3 coverage, which means it's a bit older, a bit more blurry than the newer coverage. And yeah, for the car, you can sometimes see this snorkel right here, if you want to remember that, and also these edges of the backside of the car. It's pretty close to equator, so the sun will be pretty much above you in the midday. You can see it's very flat, not very forested, but a lot of palms. So a distinct look plus this distinct Google car, maybe you'll recognize it for the next time you get it. So for the 7th rarest country, it's Gibraltar. Did you know it was a separate country? Well, it's kind of not a separate country though. Bruh. It's a part of the British Overseas Territory, so it will count as UK in country streak, but it's not officially a part of the UK, you can say. Gibraltar has a population of 40,000, so it's very densely populated. It's always Gen 3 coverage, and it has a very distinct antenna, which people call the silver tip Gibraltar antenna. on the Google car. If we zoom in here, you can see Gibraltar is just the tip of this part here. So if we turn on the Google Street View, we'll see it right away. If we look behind on the car, it's a pretty bad picture, but it's an antenna with a silver tip. There you can see it. If you see this, you're probably in Gibraltar, though you can find it some places in Spain, so be careful. Look for different stuff. Even though this is a British overseas territory, they drive on the right side. So if you see a Mediterranean kind of climate with these kind of buildings, but they have yellow back plates, just like UK and the EU strip, but they drive on the right side, it's Gibraltar. It doesn't come up very often, but it can be huge to distinguish this. If you don't know, this will confuse you a lot because of the plates and the climate as well. And for a fun fact, did you know that Gibraltar is the only place in Europe they have wild monkeys? That's kind of cool. Look at this guy just hanging around. So if you think you're in Europe and you see some kind of monkey just sitting around, try Gibraltar. Beautiful view from the Gibraltar Rock in the middle of Gibraltar here. So for the 6th rarest country, it's Jersey. Again, this is not an entirely independent country. It's actually owned by the British Crown, but it's not a part of the UK. It lies just between UK and France, and it has about 105,000 inhabitants. For a country streak, it will count as the UK. What makes Jersey stand out in GeoGuessr is that it's only Gen 2 coverage, so it's quite old, and it's not a part of the EU, so there's no blue strip on the license plates, even though they have yellow behind and white in the front, just like the UK. If you zoom in, you can find it right here. It says Jersey. It has a lot of coverage. And you can see the place names are mostly French, so look out for that. And the look can be quite distinct. You can see there's Gen 2 coverage, pretty old. A lot of thin roads, stone walls, and like hedges alongside the road here. Get a feel for what it looks like. You can see on the license plates, there's no blue strip here. So look out for that if you think it might be Jersey. So we have come to the top 5, and now it gets really rare. Country number 5. Pitcairn. Pitcairn only comes up one time every 69,000 locations from these 7 maps. That's insane. So only 0.0014 chance to get it. There are under 50 people living there, and it's one of the most remote inhabited places in the world. Technically, it's not an independent country, but it's part of the British overseas territory. The country streak, though, counts as UK as well. So in Pitcairn, you can only get Gen 3 Trekker, and Adamstown is the only settlement there. So to find it, you have to know exactly where it is. You can see I turn on Street View, so it's this little dot right here between French Polynesia and Hangaroa. So if you just zoom in between them, you'll see Adamstown pops up. So there's 2 islands technically that has coverage, but here there's only some beach coverage. Probably doesn't show up, but Adamstown is the only settlement in the Pitcairn Islands. You can see there is some coverage. If you go here, you can see there's just some dirt roads, and there's just a trekker. So a trekker will always have smaller blur. There's no car shadow. Sometimes you can see some here, and yeah, it's in the southern hemisphere, so the sun will be to the north most of the time if you can see it. So here you can get some kind of vibe. You'll get some concrete roads in the more urban parts here. You can see some concrete roads. So that was number 5. What's the 4th rarest country to get in GeoGuessr? Well, it's a much bigger place, and you have probably heard of it. It's Madagascar. Madagascar only showed up 1 in 85,000 locations in these 7 maps. 0.0012% chance of getting it. I don't know, can you remember the last time you got Madagascar? I know I have gotten it, but it might have been on some daily challenges. With almost 33 million inhabitants, it's the 4th largest island in the world, so it's quite a big place. But the coverage from the Google Street View team is not very big. You can only get Generation 3 Trekker, but the cool thing about that in Madagascar is that there is basically always one or several people walking with the Trekker camera. So if you want to nerd out, you can recognize the different people and know where in Madagascar you are. But if you see someone walking with you, that you're probably in Madagascar if everything else matches up. So it's very easy to find because it's so large, right on the east coast here from Africa. And if we turn on the Street View coverage, you can see there's very sparse coverage here. And you also get some boat coverage on the outside of the island. But yeah, this is one example. You can see there's a guy following, and we have a Trekker camera Generation 3. So for the third rarest country to get in GeoGuessr, what's your guess? It's Egypt. So Egypt only came up 4 times in total on all the 762,000 rounds. So that means it's 1 in 190,000 locations. Again, a huge country. It has 117 million inhabitants, but because of strict government regulations, there is no official Google car coverage in Egypt. As some of the other places, you'll only find generation 3 tracker camera here. That means the camera is lower, the blur is smaller, you will not see any shadow from a car, but the place around you will look pretty Middle Eastern. Egypt is very large, you can find it easily on the map. You turn on Street View, you can see just a few specks. It's hard to say what coverage actually came up in those maps, but a lot of the time you'll probably see some kind of landmark. So it can be pyramids, they have a castle, citadel, etc. You can see here's the citadel. So yeah, super rare, but it is possible to get it. If you see tracker coverage, it looks like the Middle East, Israel, it can be Egypt. Only 2 countries left. Have you guessed who's missing? This is a sleeper. It's another country that doesn't have any Google car coverage, and it's Belarus. So Belarus only came up 3 times. So 1 in a 254,000 chance to get it from these 7 maps. Because of loss, etc., the Google Street View car hasn't driven around, so you can't really get it. But the Google car sometimes crosses the border, so technically you will be in Belarus, even though the car is covering some other country. If we zoom in on Belarus here, there's actually 2 places at the border where the Google car technically came over the border from Russia. So you can see here is the 2 places. Only this small part here, and it's recognizable by the yellow center stripe. And also there's one more place up here, and as you can see here, there's also a yellow center line. There's also some coverage here by the tracker, but I'm not sure if that ever shows up as a location. So for number 1, the rarest country to get in GeoGuessr, at least from these 7 maps that I collected data from, Lebanon. Lebanon only showed up 1 time in the entire 762,000 locations. That's incredibly rare. So Lebanon is the country just north of Israel, if you didn't know, and it has about 5 million inhabitants. If you will get Lebanon, you might be a bit confused because it looks a lot like Israel, of course, but the license plates are not yellow. They are white, but still have the blue strip on the left side. Also, some plates might be a bit light green in tint. License plates in Lebanon can also be short. They don't have to be the long plates. So if we zoom in here, you can see Lebanon north of Israel. You can see there is a lot of covered roads, but it's usually not official and it won't really come up that much at all. You can see what the coverage looks like. It's the shit cam, and the license plates are white with a light blue strip at the left side, and these poles also usually are yellow metal, pretty distinct. You can see here. This is what Lebanon looks like. The rarest country in GeoGuessr. I did read a lot of posts about what the rarest countries could be, and I have 3 honorable mentions that supposedly is possible to get in GeoGuessr, according to some people. One of them is Sao Tome and Principe. It's an African island nation right at the equator here. If you zoom in, you can see there is some coverage. I have also gotten this, but might have been in a daily challenge again, I don't remember. But here you can see there is shitcam. But the cool thing about this island, to distinguish it, is that they speak Portuguese. And for the second honorable mention, Vanuatu. Vanuatu is an island nation east of Australia. You can find it right in between here. It has some sparse tracker coverage, as you can see on this island, which should be possible to get, but it's usually at the beach. And for the last honorable mention that I thought I would include, this is probably just a part of the USA, that may be why it didn't come up, but I also know I have gotten this before, and it's Midway Atoll. So to find Midway Atoll, you go west from Hawaii, north, a bit northwest. You can see this island up here. And the reason why this island is so cool is that it's huge points if you get this right. And also you can really flex here, because when I got it last time, I said to my friend, I know these birds. And I remembered, because this island, Midway Atoll, has over 3 million birds, like 21 species, but there's a lot of albatross. So basically anywhere you are on this island, you'll see a lot of birds scattered around, and it's super flat, as you can see as well. Old military station. So you see there's birds all around you. Did any of these surprise you? Or did you miss any countries? Please share it with us in the comments. So that was it for the top 10 rarest countries you can get in GeoGuessr. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing. It will help me a lot, and you'll get notified the next time I come out with a video. So thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!